Hello. Today is Monday, January 3rd, and welcome to our first Commissioner in a Car of the 2022 calendar year and election season. And what a day to have our first Commissioner of a Car. Lots of news dropped today in regards to elections, a lot of it dropping in the last few hours. But I intended this Commissioner in a Car to talk about the need for our redistricting. To talk about what was going to happen here in Onondaga County for 2022, which elections were going to come up, and we're still going to do that, and we're going to do that off the top. But after that, I am going to get into the New York State redistricting maps that were released today, the dueling maps from the Democrats and Republicans from the quote independent redistricting commission for the New York State redistricting, and what that means, and when we might know where people are running, but also what it means for Central New York, especially the congressional district. And then just minutes ago, a big development with the Onondaga County Legislature. I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to note it, but I'm not going to talk about it all that much because it's just developing. But it is big news, and it's going to have a lot of play, I imagine, over the next couple weeks. However, I'm going to first start off by talking about the 2022 elections. So in 2022, this is a federal midterm year. So when we talk about our 4-year election cycles, you have your presidential years, which was 2020, the midterm governor year in then your presidential year in here in Onondaga County. Then we have our mayoral year, where the city of Syracuse mayor is up, and that's on an odd year. That was just last year in 2021. And then, of course, we have our federal governor's year, which is happening this year, and then next year what we call our county executive year in 2023. So that is what's happening here in Onondaga County in 2022, is our federal governor year. So what are the races that are going to be up this year? Well, we'll start on the statewide. You have governor and lieutenant governor. They run as a ticket together, but separate in the June primary. So both Governor Hochul and Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin are going to have to run separately if they have primaries for their positions, and then they are joined together in the general election ticket. And then we also have the state comptroller is up. U.S. Senator is up. Charles Schumer is up for re-election, as well as Attorney General, which Attorney General Tish James and Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli are not expected to have primaries, but it could happen. There's often been a rumor of a primary against Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, but those rumors have so far turned out to be just that, rumors, not actual running mates as of right now. But we got a little bit of time for that. And then you have your congressional seats, and the John Katko is up in Onondaga County. Although, will he be up in Onondaga County? That is a big question that is going forward, and we'll talk about that when we get to the redistricting news. And then as for local offices here, we have our 2 state senate seats, 53 and 51, and our 5 assembly seats, 120, 117, 120 is Minority Leader William Barclay, who only has a part of Lysander, 126, which is the other Republican seat, which is the southwest corner of Onondaga County, and then you have Assemblywoman Pam Hunter, Bill Magnarelli, and Al Sturpey, the Democratic seats that are up as well. And then we also have the sheriff race is up this year in Onondaga County. Onondaga County Sheriff is up this year. And we also have 2 Supreme Court or County Court judges. One of them is up regularly, and then there is a rumor of a retirement that will put another judge's race on the ballot later this year. So once those 2 things happen, then we'll have those 2 family court judge or county court judge races. And then we may have a smattering of town races. If there's a vacancy that pops up, and we've already had a couple of them, there will be a town justice race out in, I believe, in Manly. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that was a village justice race out in Manlius. But there may be some town races. Normally, those run on the odd years. But if there's a vacancy between now and August, I think 3rd, then that will be up this year as well. So there's not as many offices up, but there's a lot more activity usually in a federal governor's year. We're at the Board of Elections. We are expecting a full county-wide primary in June, and planning for that as we speak. And so that is what's going on in 2022. But 2022 is a redistricting year. And so a lot of what's going on in 2022 is going to depend on what's happening at the state redistricting level. We've talked a lot on this program about the county and the city redistricting, because that was going on during, especially the county one, during the last few months. But those redistricting maps, as we've talked about, they don't happen until 2023. The redistricting maps that are going to affect the next elections are happening right now at the New York State level. And what has happened is today, the New York State Independent Redistricting Commission, they put forward dueling maps. They could not agree on maps. They cannot agree on maps that the Republicans and Democrats agreed to, so they put forward dueling maps and submitted them to the legislature. If neither one of those maps get a 2/3 vote by the legislature, then I believe it's between now and February 1st, then they go back to the commission to see if they can come up with another map. If they can't come up with another map, or that gets 2/3 vote, then the legislature, with supermajorities of Democrats on both the Assembly and the Senate, can draw their own maps. This is the process that was voted in place by the voters in 2015. I am not a defender of this process. I want to make very clear about that. I have been an advocate for citizen-led redistricting, like we see in the city of Syracuse. This is not citizen-led independent redistricting. This is appointed political leaders, and I think that's why we're seeing an inability to come up with consensus maps. So, and also, this redistricting process still gives the chance to the legislature to draw their own maps, which is also something I've opposed. That being said, the voters have put it in place, so we're going to go through it. There's nothing that can be changed about this, and I think what we may be able to see is in the next 10 years, in the next cycle, I think there will be a lot of discussions about how did this work well, do we need to change it, or do we need to scrap it all together and go to a different system. So as these maps that are being circulated around Twitter and Facebook, it's important to remember these are not the final maps, and the final maps can look totally different. The legislature doesn't have to choose either one of these maps if it doesn't get 2/3 majority. So we could see a major different map come our way on the New York State side. So this is pretty big news. But we won't know much about that, but I'll be monitoring that and giving you what's happening here on this program. So hopefully we'll get more news on that over the next couple of weeks as the legislature goes into session starting this week. And then finally, major news broke right before I got ready to do this. A surprise vote at the Onondaga County Legislature happened today at their organizational meeting. At the Onondaga County organizational meeting, they choose several different officers. But one officer, the chairman of the legislature, is voted by the entire legislature and to be appointed for 2 years. And it's a 17-member body, so you need 9 votes to become the chairman. Chairman Knapp, Dave Knapp, has been the chairman since Ryan McMahon left to become the county executive. In a very surprise vote today, the Democrats, 6 Democrats, along with 3 Republicans, voted to install Jim Rowley, 2nd District County Legislator, into the role as chairman over Dave Knapp. This is surprising. And there's going to be a lot of questions about what this means for the shape and body of the legislature itself. Will this lead to more bipartisanship? Will this lead to more ability for Democrats to put in legislation now that there's a different coalition in there? Or is this just a vote of the chairmanship alone? We just don't know. And we won't know for quite some time. And I think it's something that is going to take shape over the next couple of weeks. To say this came as a surprise is not, is actually understating it. The legislature started 2 hours late today. This is supposed to be usually a very quick meeting where they vote on their reorganization, and all this happened the 2 hours before. I have no inside information. I'm just reporting on what I saw in the paper and on Twitter from the reporters covering it. But Chairman Knapp is no longer chairman of the legislature. It is now Chairman Rowley. He will be the chairman for the next 2 years, and it'll be interesting to see how that changes this body. Will it become less partisan and more independent, which is what Mr. Rowley said in his remarks today, that it would be a more independent body from the county executive, remains to be seen, and we'll have to see what happens. I am a county resident. Before I'm a Democrat, I want to see the county succeed, so I hope that this new power structure inside the legislature will bring true independence to the county legislature and maybe some more harmonious ability for bipartisan legislation. And also there was a not unexpected change, but Minority Leader Linda Irvin, who had been serving for 9 years as Minority Leader, stepped down, and last night she announced this. So this was not a surprise move, but Chris Ryan is now the Minority Leader for the Democrats. Brian May is still the Majority Leader for the Republicans, although it's an interesting majority now with these 3 Republicans that have voted with the Democrats to put in the chairman of the legislature. Dave Knapp actually ended up not standing for re-election. He put up and nominated Julie Abbott Keenan. She only got 8 of the Republican votes, and the 3 Republicans, 6 Democrats went to Jim Rowley, and that's how that went down. So it'll be an interesting few months as we see what the new power structure in the legislature and in the county become, because no longer will it be, McMahon and Knapp. It'll be McMahon and Rowley backed by Democrats. Will there be a more harmonious and bipartisan relationship there, instead of the dictatorial style that we've seen over the last few years, and what we saw during the redistricting? So, and also Ryan McMahon did sign the county legislative redistricting maps. That happened today, apparently, and because there's no press conference about it, but it happened. So we'll be seeing what happens with that as opponents start thinking about having legal. Again, I'm not a part of that. I won't be. I could be a party to the action. I will not be a litigant in that, although I obviously believe that these maps and I've been very clear about this, is that they are subject to legal challenge and could be challenged based on the new New York State law and the existing VRA, especially with the Black Minority District, but also the cracking of communities of interest in DeWitt, Geddes, and Salina, as well as all of Syracuse. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there over the next few months. That could happen. That can happen all year long because those maps don't go into place into 2023. Judith Jerome in the chat asked, when's the deadline for these maps? I assume you're talking about the state maps. That deadline is not until the end of February, when petition period would start for the new year. That is changeable. The petitions could be delayed for a couple weeks. They could be halved in half like we saw in 2010 and less signatures on the ballot. So that we don't know what's going to happen there. But in theory, the end of February is when the maps need to be passed by the legislature, New York State Legislature, and signed by the governor. They are truly under a deadline to get that done this year because we are running in those districts this year. So I don't see any more questions in the chat. This has been a very surprising day. I assume we're going to see a lot of news coverage about this over the next couple of days. I was on Capitol Press Room today talking about the elections reforms, and I forgot about this because I did mention this earlier, is that I did launch my own website yesterday, DustinZarni.com, to be able to connect with you in a different way. So please go to DustinZarni.com. It's a website 100% paid for by me, 100% always will be, no advertising, no outside revenue, and it's only there to help you get information about elections in Onondaga County, New York State. You can subscribe and get a notice when I do a post. I also have a lot of my stuff on there from my Zoom with Zarnies and commissioners cards over the last couple of years. That's on there. I plan to get as much past stuff on there as possible because I like keeping a public record of what I do, so you can see what's out there, especially with election news as well. So if you go there, my appearance on Capitol Press Room is on there, and you can listen to that. And we had a really good chat about the new state laws. Later this week, I'll have a Zoom with Zarni with Perry Grossman of the New York Civil Liberties Union. Probably coming pretty... we're going to be talking about the New York Voting Rights Act, but I'm sure he might want to talk about redistricting a little bit and what's happening there, whether he's looking at the statewide level or, somewhere closer to home as a possibility of action. Then next week, Commissioner and cars are now going to be on Monday. This Wednesday, I'll be doing my Wonky Wednesday for Election Day voting. I'm doing an in-look at what happened on Election Day as opposed to absentee and early voting, which I've already done. And then next week, David, you're going to have to be in the car. David Harding is going to come on and help me out with my commissioner of car. You see him in the comments all the time. He also actually works for me at the Board of Election as one of our part-time custodians. And I think that's a good place for you to see a different role that, I brought in a lot of my Meet the Office stuff last summer. David is a different role. He's a part-time custodian, and we're going to talk about what it's like to do a part-time. But you are going to have to be in the car, Dave. I have a heater. You're going to have to be in the car. So that's it for today. Oof. It's going to be an interesting year already. 2022 off to a bang. I can't wait for it. If you please go to DustinZarni.com and subscribe, and if check it out. I'm really happy with it. There's a lot of information on there. And in the meantime, take care, stay safe, remember to mask up, when in public places. Omicron is still out there, and some people very close to me were just diagnosed as positive today. And I pray for everybody who gets this thing, but I really want everybody to be as safe as possible, because it's hard. It's hard. And I know winter's here. People are starting to go inside again. Please wear your mask. Please get your vaccine. Get boosted if you can. I'm getting boosted on January 6th, and I really hope that the rest of you will take care of yourself, and hopefully we can get out of this sometime soon. You take care and have a good new year. Bye-bye.